Wait. Give me 1 second. It's so funny. We do normally do the intro, but then hey, welcome to another episode of Unfiltered and Intentional. Sorry about that. You know, guys, every time we go live, there's always some type of technical difficulty. Somebody's internet goes out, lights, camera, action, but it happens. But we make it the best of it and do what it do. We have a special guest, so I hope you guys are hungry. I wish we had like a live demo, but the next time when we bring this special
For
guest,
sure.
we will do a live demo so we can really get our palates wet with all the flavors. But we're going to introduce him and everything and talk about what he's got going on in the community. But first, Liz.
Hey everybody, good evening, happy Sunday. Hope you're ready for the week. We always ask, we will get tired of asking, so help us out, please. We want you to like, subscribe, and share. So if you're watching, if it's the first time, welcome to the family. We hope you stick around. And if it's the 100th time, we hope you're sharing. So we appreciate you guys. And then, Kia, did you want me to go ahead and do the intro?
Yeah, go ahead, girl. Do what you do.
Right. So we are adding to the family, the ever-growing Unfiltered and Intentional family here. And tonight we are so blessed with Chef Andre, the Skywalker, Jedi of Flavors.
Yes. If you didn't get it, he likes Star Wars.
Absolutely
Flavor he knows. That's what
amazing.
okay.
So you have barely lived until you tried his food, specifically his salmon, but we won't go into all those details right now. So, and I'm apologizing to the audience. We were supposed to be live in the kitchen and whipping it up tonight. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I sound a little extra masculine. I'm sorry, but, but I'm a little stuffy, and you can't be too safe. So,
and you know what? Thank you so much for that intro, and thank you so much, Chef, for coming on. It's crazy because especially around this time of year, I like to always bring somebody on who knows how to really cook. I actually want to say that I can throw down, but I'm not no chef like you are. But you know, you got to get these flavors popping. But with that being said, before we start talking about actual food, can you just give us a little bit of background about how long have you been in the food industry and what made you, decide to get into there? Because a lot of people think that, it's a way to a person's heart is the food, and that's actually true.
I concur. I mean, so once again, Chef Andre Skywalker, the Jedi of Flavors. I've been doing food for a very long time. It's been part of my family lifestyle. I started out with kind of watching my mom in the kitchen, always being helpful and kind of there, and just just had a passion for it early. And now it's been about 25 years I've been cooking off and on. It was one of those things to where you kind of go around the mulberry bush and come back to what's natural. I did other areas, artsy, music, that kind of thing, and food is always a part of it. And now I'm doing well. I love what I do. I lead with feeding people. I lead with touching souls and pleasing palates. That's ultimately what drives me. Community, grassroots is like that's my love. That's my passion, So, yeah, I've been doing this for a very long time. Like I said, started out watching my mom. She was classically trained. I did a little stint in school, but, I found that early that the passion, is what drives creativity, and that's really what kind of fostered my love for food and just being able to feed people and make a difference in lives along the way.
Well, that's great. Is there a certain particular type of food that you're
So it's funny. That's a question that I was going to ask. What would be my specialty? I do a little bit of everything. I don't like to pigeonhole myself, but if there was a style, I would kind of say maybe French Caribbean infusion kind of thing. Sauces.
Okay.
A little bit of everything. But French Caribbean infusion is what I would kind of say. Tropical infusion. I'm Caribbean. I'm Jamaican, so. there's that knowledge of herbs, and then the French style comes with the sauces and kind of, giving things the gravies and that kind of thing. But overall, French Caribbean is what I would say if you want to put a, style on it.
So I'm gonna say this real quick, Chef.
Mm.
I have all types of questions. I always have questions when it comes to talking food, especially when the chef is on. But I'm gonna make sure that Liz and Specs get their little questions in. What about this? Or what about this? So go ahead, Liz, come back to you.
Specs, we haven't let you get a word in tonight, so come on in.
No, when he said French and Caribbean, my mind was like, ah. So I'm geez. Okay, so do you have any kind of pasta dish that would be French and Caribbean?
So it's funny because a lot of times I merge flavors and merge cultures. It's funny. Just tonight I did a Parmesan, a jerk Parmesan, which would be Jamaican Parmesan vodka sauce, infused chicken breast, in some penne pasta. Add a little chicken broth to it to make it kind of nice and fluffy, and the family, of course, they're spoiled, but they were like, this is phenomenal, Dad. You know what I mean? So to answer your question, that was just a little something that just came together tonight real quick,
I'm sorry, hold up.
Right.
I'm sorry, back. What? The hell? I'm like,
it's like
okay,
that.
I'm back. Because I can see it. He was saying it. I was like, yeah,
wow.
You could do. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a fat boy. I'm a fat boy at heart. I lost some weight. I'm a fat boy. So you were speaking gospel. Like I was like, Jesus, is that you, Jesus?
Oh my
What?
goodness. Oh my goodness.
So
man, I appreciate it.
What you got, Liz?
What Andre is not telling you guys, he's playing it cool tonight. He's being extra humble. Like he's got his French Caribbean thing. This man can touch almost anything and turn it into a meal. What was it? He happened to come over casually. I thought your boy came over to watch a game with my husband, and he happened to see a bag of what was the stuffing?
It was stuffing. Yeah. I made a bread pudding out of it.
Use it, whatever. And he sat there and he's just like, "You mind?"
I got this. Yeah, I did a bread pudding. And I did like a bourbon caramel sauce on it. You know what I mean? So it came together real nice, and it was just I pride myself of being able.
Okay.
Like it's bread, right? And I'm like, wait, but it's what?
Yeah. I mean, you got to be able to be on the fly. I pride myself with using what you have. A lot of times you don't have to have a lot of the ingredients. You just use what you have, and you can make magic with the simple stuff. You know what I mean?
And I'm glad you mentioned that because I was going to ask about that for individuals. Because of course, a lot of times when you think about chefs, they have this gourmet kitchen or they have all the accessories that go, to make the actual meal that they're making. But what would you suggest for a person who doesn't per se have this big old gourmet kitchen? They don't have a whole bunch of food. Just to kind of wow, especially now we've got coming into the holidays. Just past Thanksgiving, and not everybody per se celebrates Christmas, but even Kwanzaa or the winter solstice or whatever you got, Hanukkah, whatever, what would you suggest for the people who don't have those big kitchens and the elaborate cookware just to kind of get, into it? I know sometimes the cookbook is turned upside down and stuff.
It's funny. I mean, most people have beans, most people have tuna, most people have some pasta, most people have cheeses, so it's, I just like to look at stuff and just use it for what it is. You know what I mean? In most cases, you usually think about a starch, a meat, a vegetable kind of thing. But the ones that come together and make like a gumbo or like a chowder or even the great things, especially for this winter season, even though here in Florida, we're not really plagued with the cold weather. The stews are nice, you know what I'm saying? Where you're able to kind of just throw everything into a pot and make a one pot bubble down stew. Those things are very easy. Boiling some pasta, opening a can of tuna, because tuna is fish, regardless of how you look at it, it's still fish. Absolutely. I take tuna and I cut up some onions and tomatoes, some scallions, some garlic, throw 2 cans of tuna in that, saute that down and drop a little water on it to give a little broth. And, before you know it, you drop that in with some pasta, drop some cheese in that, bop it in the oven. You got a nice little tuna casserole there without even thinking about anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it comes together fairly quickly. I mean, it's just about just. Just about, knowing what you want and just using what you have,
Wow, thank you for that.
Sure.
Go ahead, Liz.
Again. So it's so funny because hi Nia.
I know. No, it was so crazy. And that's the thing with the whole live thing. So Nia comes in, he's asking the question, my plug comes out. The camera's like battery low. I'm like, oh shit.
Oh, sure.
I am so sorry. If you don't sit back,
You're good.
I don't know what your father is, but I'm sorry. I normally don't do
You're
this.
good.
But you know what? And again, Andre, I happen to know him very personally, and I have the world of respect for this man. He's a family man. He's a husband. He's an amazing dad. I'm gonna touch on that aspect of it in two ways, right? So I've been out to events where Chef Andre is out there with his son, and it's a father-son duo, and they're getting involved, and it's the most admirable thing to see. I'm going to ask you because Kia mentioned that it is the holidays, and a lot of times we find ourselves either so rushed or so overwhelmed that we're shooing the kids out of the kitchen because they're in the way. I noticed that you literally find a way to incorporate your children in the kitchen.
Sure.
I think that that's genius, teaching them about food, about nutrition.
Good question.
Andre, and I know that you bring in that culture and that history, that knowledge that they need. Can you impart some wisdom on us on how to get our kids more involved and understanding how to, boil an egg?
Well, what's funny is that, I use that opportunity as a time to spend time with them. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, like I said, when we're intentional in what we're doing, we just are focused on getting the job done. But, a meal is something that's, sustenance for life. This has been this way for years, and family and everything is what it's always revolved around. So being able to get them in the kitchen and, hey, you drain this pasta, you open these cans, I've got young ones. I've got a 7, I've got a 18, 13. Well, I've got a 19, 18, 13, and a 7-year-old, so they come in at different phases at different points. Naturally, my son, the 7-year-old can't use a knife, but he can definitely pour the beans into a pot. He can definitely drain the water out of some cans. He can definitely be involved in it. And the more that they're involved, it's funny. They really enjoy the food even more, especially if they have a personal feel and stake in the meal itself, So my son and I, we've been blessed to do a lot of cooking demos. And it's funny. We found some footage where probably about 2009, I think he and I were doing demos, and he was 4. And now we have today was, I think it was 2019 2020, we found the pictures, and it's literally from 2009 to 2019 where we're showing him and I doing live demos, and we're able to go out in public, and he's my sous chef, and he helps me, and he's proud of what he does. And it's important that we bring the family into it because, as he said, everything food is about tradition. It's about culture. It's about, a oneness in the house. You know what I'm saying? And then it branches out to everything else,
Right. So,
I hope I answered the question.
Go ahead.
Let me go ahead and touch some of the comments real quick, if I may.
Sure.
All right. So, hey.
You got it, Kia?
No, go ahead. I was just saying, hey.
Hey. He said, what's up, everybody? Hey, I'm a lion.
Hey, everybody.
So we got a Facebook user and saying, good evening, everyone.
Yes,
good
evening.
So Alice just chimed in. He said, talk to them about that salmon and fritters, bro. That gets busy in the kitchen. Best things I've ever had, hands down. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot because when Alice sees my food, he be like, man, kid, you could cook, but go ahead.
All right. So actually I have a question for Alistair. If he could chime back in. So now I'm curious because you said the same thing about Kia's wings. So what's what?
Yeah, see? Yeah. Didn't I just say that? Something's going on.
See Winslow's there with good evening, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
And then Toya chimed in. Good Sunday, kings and queens.
Yes.
And so Earl says, sup, y'all? I'm a cast iron guy.
Hey.
What's up, Earl?
There you go. Cast iron is a great tool. That's a great tool for searing. You know what I mean? Steaks are great in cast iron. Even if you want to get a nice sear or a nice seal on meat, that's the best way to go. I'm a cast iron guy. If I had a choice, It started off with a nice sear, and then I like to stew down. You know, I like multiple techniques. So I usually kind of do a seal on the meat to kind of lock the moisture in, and then from there you drop it in like an oven, or you just braise it down to give it that nice you know, the bubble the gravies up, or soften it up in the middle. You know what I mean? Make it nice and tender. That's the way to go. Yeah.
I like my cast iron for threatening my husband. Sorry. Like him out.
Okay.
So, all right, Alice, to chime back in, this guy gets invites from businesses to come out and cook for their customers.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Wow.
So, Quanus in the comments section, I see you. Hello, family.
Hey.
So, Cash said, "Hey, everyone."
Welcome.
This guy's been to the White House to cook for the president.
Oh, wait a second. Before I start talking about what I was going to talk about, can you talk to us about that? You went to the White House to cook.
So let me put that in some context. So we were able. I was in South Florida, and I had a company with 4 brothers. We were organic chefs. It was called Be Organic. Okay. And we were the premier organic chefs, and we're talking about, you know, 07s, 08s is when we were out there before the name became a household name. And one thing people forget is that organic is not something that's a new kid on the block. Organic is what your grandmother sent you to pick off the tree. You know what I mean? These are things that's always been out there, things that we've always used for so long. But now here comes this marketing term where everyone is using it and making it this high-end commercialized piece. So going back, you know, we were a premier on the block. You know, we were 4 brothers that were inflicted with different things. I'm diabetic. My other partner was diabetic. Another buddy of mine was a cancer survivor. And we got to a point where we started realizing that a lot of these diseases or main inflictions or basic inflictions, diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, was coming from lack of diet and exercise.
Yes.
And we basically used ourselves as guinea pigs and realized that through eating better, you know, living a better lifestyle, we were able to change ourselves ultimately. So with a lot of the, volunteer opportunities we were doing, we were always in the communities, giving back. We got a call in the midnight hour when Obama was campaigning, and they were like, he's in town. Well, we didn't know. To be honest, we didn't know. They were just like, we need all your information. You know, everybody's blood work, basically, you know, short of that. And we showed up, you know, we went out there, we did our thing, and who bust the corner? Barack Obama. And it was like the stars opened up. It was something that we didn't understand because we were like, wow, we're not worthy. But, you know, we did major things. It skyrocketed us to a level of confidence that, you know, when you're doing positive things in the community, opportunities will come to you. You know what I'm saying? When you don't lead with money, you'll get it. You know, when you lead with passion, what you strive for will come to you. You know, so that's a story that I tell seldomly because it's a highlight of what I've done, but it doesn't define where I'm going. You know what I'm saying? It was part of the journey. It's given me confidence in knowing that I have those memories, you know, the high profile clients that I've cooked for, but that's not what defines who I am. I'm not a bell and whistle or a horn tutor. I'm a grassroots guy that wants to help my community get better and heal them from inside out.
And I love the fact that you're so humble. With that being said, I'm glad. It's so funny because as soon as I was about to think of the question, you mentioned it about that healthy eating. I know organic isn't something that just came around, but of course with marketing and what's popular now, you know, it's trending, right? But with that being said, African Americans have the highest in diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity, and these different things. And of course, from our grandmamas, you know, we already know the background and the types of food that we were given to make, right? With that being said, you know, even our Latin brothers and sisters, you know, we have healthy portions of meals. You know, it's not, you know, small portions. You know, what do you do? How do you implement? What encouraging words do you say just to kind of get that mindset? Because I know people, unfortunately, to this day, that still may use Crisco on everything that they use. Not just, for that one pie, but just every single thing. Like I still know the people that have a lot of that. I'm sorry.
Well, you know, it's an awareness. And I always say too much of one thing is good for nothing.
Yeah.
You know, granted, most of those things and tradition and culture has kind of steeped us into our ways, and we do things based on what we've been taught and what we've seen. But everything is transitioning, you know what I mean? And health is at the forefront right now. And if you want to stick around, you got to do better. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you've got kids, you've got family, you've got to take that onus in yourself. Now, it's not necessarily about sometimes, because you can do bad stuff with good ingredients. You know what I'm saying? You can have good ingredients and deep fried, and now it's just trash. Or you can have
the salad with the big ranch dressing and blue cheese.
You feel what I'm saying? So it's just about an awareness in, you know, portion control. You know, more veggies, you know, protein, keep it to a level, and eat at a good time of the day, because most times when you eat that big meal, when it's X amount of macaroni and cheese and gravies and stuff, what do you do after that? You go lay down, and the itis kicks in. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's when the lines clog up. Think about even a drain. If you pour oil down a drain, it goes down slick and smooth, but once it gets cool, it hardens. These are your arteries, these are your veins, these are things that are there. So just be mindful. I mean, you know, it's not going to change overnight, but you got to want to live. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let me ask you this, and I'm sorry I'm holding up all the questions.
No, you're good.
I wanted to say, you know, and I was going to say this, and I know I probably might offend somebody, but I was shocked that people still eat chitlins. I mean, first of all, I never had chitlins before.
I never had them either.
And I heard about them, and I'm like, what you got to do? Is this like the ass of the pig, or this is where the
All right. So you just grew up in the culture.
But
you just grew up in the culture.
It's cultural.
And I was
because it's a Southern thing.
But I didn't know people still drink Kool-Aid. Like, okay, we all grew up on Kool-Aid. We got our favorite ones. But Kool-Aid in 2021. Oh.
I mean, it happens. So, I mean, go ahead, brother.
No. I was going to say chitlins. Like, okay, so I don't eat chitlins now, but I grew up on it. But my grandmother is from the mountains, the Appalachian Mountains in Virginia. Okay. And my grandfather, on my mother's side, was from a plantation. Like his family, like we found the family, the plantation. I think it was in Georgia, either Alabama or Georgia. And dude owned the whole town, so everybody was Blackshare. So anyway, that was a Southern thing. So you couldn't have a dinner for the family and not have chitlins.
Right. Well, there's a documentary called High on the Hog. I would encourage a lot of folks to, if they want to understand, especially that whole Gullah mentality, the whole Gullah culture. You know, these were slave descendants that grew up in the highlands and lowlands of the Carolinas, that were primarily done a lot of the gumbos, the seafoods, that kind of thing. But you know, everything stems from somewhere, and a lot of it always goes back to the motherland, because that's where the essence of all the, you know, the culinary masterpieces in my mind comes from. You know what I'm saying? Right now, you've got so many different spins on oxtails, and I'm like, oxtails. You know, at one time, an oxtail would cost you $2.99 a pound. An oxtail is like $8.99, almost $12.99 a pound. You know, and you're like, wait a second, y'all were throwing this away. You know what I mean? I mean, even think of things like lobsters and shrimps. Those things are, you know, considered bottom feeders. Those were things that they were feeding to their dogs back in the days. Now these things are high culinary, you know, delicacies. So everything's in context. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I'm not a chitlin eater. I don't know what that is, but you know, in Jamaica we eat tripe. You know, there's those type of things. So it's not far from, it's not far fetched. It's just utilizing what you have. Right. You know what I'm saying? Make the best with it, and think about it. In those days, we were in the fields. We were working hard every day. We worked it off. Here comes that diet and exercise piece. You needed solid things to keep your body going. You know, you can't eat a fruit and go work in the fields all day. You got to eat something, you know, some starch, some ground vegetables, some yams and potatoes. You know, these are the things that sustains your body to keep moving. So, you know, we're in a different age now. So
that's true.
I understand. Yeah, who eats chitlins, and I think it should be something we move away from because it's cholesterol based. But it's part of the diaspora. You know what I'm saying? We know.
Well, in reference to substitution, so you know, you have those Criscos, but then you have your peanut oil. You have so many different types of oils, and just kind of moving into like the transitioning. Instead of using this, you use this instead. Is there a certain oil? Because at one time, canola oil was the best oil, but then I heard that that's not the best oil anymore, and it changes constantly. Is there a certain type of oil that we should be cooking our foods in?
So that's subjective, because I mean, Yeah, I'm an olive oil guy. I like canolas too. It depends on what you're making. Again, it's not saturating it in oil. I mean, you can shallow fry instead of deep frying. You can do other different techniques. You can bake instead of frying, or you can steam. Those type of things. So it's incorporating different pieces. I mean, flavor is usually where those pieces come from. Olive oil, I like olive oil because it's natural, and olive is a positive fruit, if you want to say that. You know what I'm saying? Not
It's
to
a good
bring it
fat.
there, but it's in the Bible. You know what I mean? Not to bring it
Yeah, look,
there,
it
but
is a good fat,
you know what
actually.
I mean. So
Yeah,
so
so
it's something that does not apparently give you as or has a bad rap as you would think about, like saturated corn oil, with the different preservatives and additives. But again, too much of one thing is good for nothing. Just everything in moderation.
Okay.
right.
So I'm not gonna ask any more. I have 3 more questions. I know you're running kind of short on time, so
Very
I was
good.
trying to get it in. I know I'm like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, you gotta go for it.
Liz Specs, do you have anything before?
So, well, actually, I was just going to
Okay,
reference back
oh, you go ahead.
to.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, sorry, Spec.
Mm.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, why are we still eating these things? Right now, we, because not I. But let's be clear, right? But I did look it up real quick because you guys know I'm good for it, and I do think that it's a part of just tradition and heritage. And of course, we should grow and learn and know better, but we should also know a lot about the tradition and heritage and where it started. I don't think anybody ever looked at pig intestines and thought, "Oh, that looks yummy," right? But it came from somewhere. So I looked it up real quick, and what it says is soul food. Scraps
Right,
became cuisines celebrating African American spirit. Slaves were forced to eat the animal parts their masters would throw away. They
Right.
cleaned and cooked pig intestines and called them chitlins. They
Mhm.
took
right,
butts of oxen and christened them as oxtails.
right,
The same thing goes for pigtails, pig feet, chicken necks, smoked neck bones, hog jowls, and gizzards.
right,
So,
Right.
it was what was left over. And
right.
Necessity.
when you
Right.
really think about it, it was also what made them stronger than the people eating the white meat, like quite literally. So, before we kind of look down on it, remember it's being passed down generation after generation, and there's a really rich history there.
Mhm.
And maybe there's an aspect of it where we need to be better educated, so we
Right.
can eat a little bit healthier, but we shouldn't just discard the heritage and the history.
I mean,
Because
It's
and think
from.
about
I'm sorry.
it.
Go ahead.
It fortified us. It fortified us.
yeah,
Nowadays, if the breeze blows wrong, kids are sick. You
right,
know what I mean? Because nothing has any nutrients, nothing has any substance in it. These are things that were keeping us solid. If you think about, an Uncle Jim, everyone has an Uncle Jim from the great Uncle Jim. If you touch his hands are like steel. If he was strong. These, grandma's still walking around in the garden, and you're like, man, nowadays osteoporosis. You got arthritis. Because nothing has any substance anymore. Even the food itself is not raised or built the same way. So yes, we got to get away from things, but we got to repurpose it. Repurpose things and just try to grow in our understanding of how it will last with us, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
No, I like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
fact that
definitely.
you said growth. Go ahead, Specs. Go ahead, Specs.
Mhm.
Oh no. I forgot I was going to say, but it was about the slave food because, like I said, my grandfather,
Mhm.
we traced him back to the plantation,
Mhm.
and my grandmother was like, I forgot what it's called to the people that Lincoln mother was. So that's why my family's kind of different looking,
Mhm.
but Lincoln, this is called Lincoln's mother Negro, and he was
Right.
like, no,
Tawani,
but
from the
they were
Tawani,
mixed.
Tawani,
She was
Tawani
mixed.
Moors. Right, Tawani
Mhm.
Moors. They're from Tawani Moors.
Yeah.
The
So
Tawani Moors is what they're called. Go ahead, go for it.
right, no. So because I keep on forgetting like the name, but I was like, okay, but my grandmother was from there, and and her father was German. So it was
Mhm.
but coming from that culture, it was a thing. Rabbits. So for Thanksgiving, we always had chitlins, of course. Rabbits and turkey. So and that was just the cult. Like I did not know that was not a thing with everybody because
And,
Right.
even
and
growing up in DC,
Mhm.
we were country. So I used to go fishing.
Mhm.
I used to have the so we would get the worms like a week before, put them in a cup, poke the hole in the cup, put in the refrigerator.
but
Go
let me.
down to the go down to the thing. I'm sorry, get a stick, tie
Mhm.
tie the string on it,
Mhm.
feed the hook, and fish with that.
Drop in
I'm
the
sorry, go
water.
ahead.
Yep. Oh yeah.
No.
Absolutely.
And I just want to put it out there for everyone listening. No, I would never ever put our people down. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
we are great inventors. We make
Sure.
everything
oh
that is
yeah,
Absolutely.
made.
Absolutely.
We turn everything into sunshine, regardless of what
It starts with
Yeah,
us and it ends with us.
yeah,
Right.
you ain't lying.
Yeah.
I do want everyone to know that we need to grow with the times. So we're
Sure.
not per se in
agreed.
the field. So the
Yeah,
things that we can do, let's try to at least educate or cook in different other
Yeah.
methods besides, you
Just
know,
stop eating chillers. Like I grew up with chillers.
and those things. But let me just go. I got a couple. Wait, here we go. Here.
This Elephant Man
Hey,
Podcast
Elephant
Network
Man.
chiming in with blessings, sis. Salute. So then you've got Z saying at Kia, your comment reminds me of that movie Norbit with a turkey butt. LOL. So, and Elephant Man said, I think that Netflix series.
Yeah, I think it was like High on the Hog. I think that's the one you was mentioning. Just to kind of wrap it up and everything, I wanted to ask you my two last questions. One was, okay, so the holidays have came upon us. You've made your meals. How long should those leftovers kind of sit in that fridge? Because I know some people be riding them leftovers for days, weeks. That's my one question. I got one more.
Well, you got to freeze them. You got. I mean, naturally freezing will give you a little bit more shelf life. But be realistic. Sometimes you don't even want to taste the same things, for too long. So what I do is I reinvent them. I would make a lot of gumbos, a lot of stews, some soups, sandwiches. Just kind of repurpose them as long as they go. I mean, if the food is starting to go, if it's to the field, starts to feel sticky or it starts to smell, naturally discard it. But do what's comfortable for your family. Nowadays, so many people have different allergies, and there's different, the kids are, peanuts and all these different kind of things. So it's tricky sometimes to really give a blanket statement in that regards. But what you have, reinvent it, repurpose it. Bring the kids and make a pizza. You know what I mean? If you got turkey left, you know what I mean? Hey, you go to Publix. Publix got the raw dough. You can take the dough, and I do it with the kids all the time. We spread it out, put some marinara on it. You can make your own marinara, put marinara on it, cut that turkey up, put that on, drop some cheese on it. You'd be surprised. That's a fantastic meal right there. You know what I mean? And they're involved. Everyone's involved. You know what I mean? You make macaroni and cheese and collard green egg rolls. I mean, these are things that happen.
I have a question.
Sure.
My last question. Please roll out that recipe of jerk chicken pasta you was talking about.
Okay, sure, absolutely. Okay. I'll get that out to you. I'll get that out to you.
And once again, audience, we will have him on doing for a live, demo and everything. Final question for me in reference to paying it forward. I know we were talking about paying it forward previous shows. This is the holiday season and just doing something a little bit out of the kindness of your heart, not looking for any return. And can you please tell the audience what you told me about how you were feeding the homeless? It was just
I try to do it every year, and I think it's important, especially if you're leading a tribe. I call my family my tribe. If you're leading a tribe, it's important that you lead from the front. And in a time where everyone's always got their hands out, the kids are so entitled. Everybody thinks that everything's supposed to come to them. You got to show them what it looks like to give to others that don't have, just for them to even realize what they do have. And on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, I cooked food, and as well as a few other chefs and a group of us, and we went down to Orlando and we fed about 230 homeless people. They got free haircuts. They got clothing that people dropped off. They just felt like people, because we seem to forget that they're people. They're folks that just fell on hard times, or whatever the case may be. Mental health is a serious thing that a lot of people don't talk about, and if it goes unaddressed, it gets to become a monster. And they just put them in these asylums and these different places that aren't treating them. So, for me, community is everything. Without community, nothing matters. You know what I'm saying? I tell my kids, pay it forward. If someone in school is looking down, ask them how the day is going. You have those kids that are shunned, just say good morning to them. A kind word, being a positive person can go so far in someone's day that a lot of times we just get caught up in the hustle and bustle and just kind of put our blinders on and put our heads down. But there's real life happening, and we think we got issues. Imagine if you only got a backpack with all your belongings. You know what I'm saying? We think we got issues, but these people, everyone I saw had a backpack, and I was like, man, everything. Matter of fact, they did everything. Number one, they started out as babies, and this life now, this is a grown adult, which I don't know what they've been through, but everything that they've been through is in a backpack. You know what I'm saying? Right. I mean, we got closets, we got junk drawers, we got stuff that we can't put in the backpack. You know what I mean? Stuff that are insignificant to us. But imagine someone that's whole life, their change of clothes, their toothbrush, their whatever it may be. You know what I'm saying? A picture of their mom or dad or something. You know, we've got to be mindful of our piece in this world. You know, and like Gandhi said, you've got to be the change that you want to see in the world. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes. And I commend you for that, because at the end of the day, to do something and not look for anything in return, to do something and see a person, to literally see you as you, and like, hey, here you go, let me just pay it forward. And it's an awesome thing. So thank you for sharing that story, Liz. This is somebody that you know personally. Please, you know, your last question, your last comment. Go ahead, Liz.
Just one last comment. Did you guys hear this chieftain talk about leading his tribe? Did you guys hear him? That is what we need. Can we just multiply little Chef Andres? I mean, and you know, I let in. I told you guys this is an amazing, amazing man. Chef is just one small portion of what he does. Everything he said, he speaks from the heart. And if we didn't ask him and pull it out of him, I promise you guys, he wouldn't tell you. So you gotta like really pull it out of him. But when you're doing beautiful things like that, and when you're living such a life of legacy, I don't think that anybody should be hiding you under a rock. And so your food speaks for itself.
I appreciate it.
Too. So
it means a lot to be a part of this. You know, anything paying it forward, anything bringing awareness, is dear to my heart. I'd love to do this again. You know, even come on and do some live demos. We can definitely do this again. I'll absolutely be back. You guys are now part of my family, and I thank you again for the opportunity. You know?
Yes, and I thank you so much. We commend you, strong Black king.
Slow clap. Slow clap.
All right, now
all right.
With that being said, guys, I'm so glad that he was able to come into our lives and just bless us and give us a little small tidbit about what he has going on, what he has planned, you know, in the future for upcoming visits. I'm very happy that was something that he was able just to kind of just a glimpse of his life. So thank you, Liz, because you were the one, right, to be like, hey, here you go. I know somebody, because, you know, especially around this time.
Holidays, right.
And not even that. During this time, you always have people who are like the wannabe chefs or don't know, or they're just trying it out for the first time or whatever have you. You know how to take a little jab right there.
Try with company, y'all. Try it out. Yes, absolutely try it out. Just not when you're going to have people over, please.
I just haven't noticed that people want to be so creative during the holidays. That is not the time for experimentation. The ones who know how to cook certain meals, get on it. But, but no, thank you again, Liz, for just introducing everybody to him, and we can't wait to learn more from him and what he has in store. But I know the energy was very positive. I know that we wanted to talk about positive things, but unfortunately, there's been some sad news that has happened over the night. You know, while people were asleep in the Midwest, we had a quad state tornadoes. You know, just kind of rip through in America, and it was crazy. I think the death toll is still climbing. There are people right now who are still under debris. It's interesting because I used to live in Oklahoma. I was stationed out there, and you would have the sirens, right? And the sirens would go off, and you'd have a little bit of time for preparation. They have towns that are completely leveled. So the siren is gone. You know, like every single thing is gone. And it's kind of like, what do you do? Where do you go? I didn't want to make this show about a prepping a show, but I did want to touch bases about it, because these individuals were not planning for a natural catastrophe to happen. These individuals were planning for Christmas. These individuals were planning for Kwanzaa. These individuals were planning to go to work, right? To make holiday meals or whatever have you. And boom, just like that, you know, look what's happened. Did you guys, I know you had some information just to fill people in, Liz, on what was going on.
So it was a series of something like 30 something tornadoes touched down overnight on Friday night going into Saturday morning. I'm trying to get back to the particular article that I was looking at. They said it was 2 tornadoes in particular that both hit over like EF3. They don't have the exact numbers just yet, but that already is just astronomical. They think it's going to climb to 5 or 6. 4 or 5. They are record-breaking tornadoes, two of them in particular, that traveled for more than 4 hours. Can you imagine 200
Jesus.
plus mile an hour winds in a cyclone, um, going 4 hours on the ground, just shredding it up? They said it looked like matchsticks on the floor.
Yeah.
They're both record breaking. They both went over 250. One went 250 miles, they believe,
Yeah.
and one went over
Mm.
200 miles. They're still waiting for the exact numbers to all pan out. But just the fact that it's record breaking on top of record breaking at the same time in the same night, um, God, my heart that goes out to those people,
Yeah.
just being at work, being trapped. The governor was asked a question today, or one of the mayors of the town, and he said, do you think that that factory, the candle making factory specifically, had a plan? He goes, I don't think you could plan for this. It was like there was no plan that was going to be good enough. This storm it took no prisoners, and it's our hearts are with our fellow Americans,
No, it's
particularly this time of year. It would be bad any day, but this time of year, it's soul crushing. So
no, I don't
yeah.
know if, and I know we always talk about prepping. That's how I met Sex, when just like, wait, he has this platform with 4,000 plus followers, called Black Preppers 101. And that's how I was introduced that way. But it's like, even though you prep, right? That's
Right.
something that there were people who were not even able to survive, and they prep. They had their
Yeah.
hideout shelters and those different things. So what do you do? The weather, guys, is crazy. I don't know if you were seeing it. I know here in Florida it's like 90 degrees, the
Oh,
highs of 87.
the weather's getting crazy. Like in certain parts of the country, if you're gonna buy a house, you might as well get like the underground shelter. Like instead of just buying a house, just spend 160 and get a drop-in shelter underground. Because like my thing would be, you don't have enough time to be like, what's going on? Boom. Because I've been in the tornado.
I have to.
Yo. So there's no real time. So you got to think differently now. So look, if you can afford to have a house built, you can afford to have a bulk and put it on the ground because they're
Yeah.
around the same price. So do you
And
want to live like that, but living in the part of the country that sounds like a disaster movie. That's not a real thing. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, like 20 years ago, this wasn't a real conversation. So
Right.
now we're in a disaster movie constantly. Like my aunt got COVID and she got vaccinated and she is was she's immune compromised. So I'm like going. So I got my mom that's on hospice, and then my aunt that's immune compromised has COVID.
mm,
Disaster movie. So
yeah,
we gotta move differently. So the
yeah.
thing is, like in Florida, there we talk about Florida. So I'm like, whew, okay. So how water lines and everything is coming up. California is on two fault lines that might turn
Wait,
Nevada to
guys.
like the no.
Wait,
I'm sorry.
wait. Wait, Specs. I don't know if you guys heard, but this is right before everything that was going down. It just so happened that it was Oregon, that whole Washington state,
Yeah.
parts of
Yeah.
California, 40 earthquakes back to back. Now, these were all like 4.0 and under, nothing really major, but 40 back to back to back, just all throughout the day.
Yeah, I
And so
post about
he's
that.
just saying that they're prepping, because they never knew when that big one was coming, but it was just like, wow,
No, but
40.
it's was it arcade? Oh, I forgot the name of it. I'm having a brain for it. But all right, from Washington, all right, so from Canada down to Washington, Oregon, and you California, there's a huge fault line, but it's off the water. Now, um, this one was a little bit further out, but that one is right on the line. In 2016, FEMA had to drill. I forgot the name of it's Arcadia, Arcadia. I forgot. Ugh. But anyway, so what they came out with was this. It's overdue. It's bigger than San Andreas, but it could trigger San Andreas. So if it happens, what's going to happen is because it's further out in water, it's going to make a tsunami. So you still felt the earthquake during the West Coast, but the tsunami will come in so far. They said FEMA couldn't get anybody. So it was like 3 or 4 weeks, and that's them prepping and doing. And that was a thing, like a drill they had in 2016. So when I
Yeah.
saw that, That I was like this. Y'all need to watch that because they prep for it, not prep. They train for it, but they let you know that if you're underground, if you're hurt, is they can't get to you. The best is when the water comes back.
And I
Every four
don't
weeks, maybe a
know,
month or so.
and it's funny because, and that's why I love when I really do those prepping shows, just because we have to get the message out. And I know a lot of our viewers are already preppers, or at least intermediate preppers, or they've been prepping for 1,000 years, or whatever the case may be. I know Elephant Man podcast; he's on the listening, and he does prepping shows as well. All of us try to kind of stay in that network community because at the end of the day, you can't prep per se for every second of the hour for every little thing, but just read the tea leaves, guys. And this is just for natural catastrophes. We're not talking about when we got some crazy ass tourists, overthrowing buildings and stuff. We're talking about just the weather itself. And of course, we could always dig a little further and be like, oh, it's the heart machine. Oh, it's the end of times. God's coming. The reasoning behind it, can always be another conversation. But what actually is happening is people are losing their lives. People are hurting,
and it's happening now. Yeah, it's horrible.
Exactly.
And it's crazy. It's like, what? But the weather is a thing that we need to pay attention to because of where we are. Even if we go back to where it used to be, that probably won't be for like another 20 years. So we haven't peaked of where we're going with this. So we got to think differently. So you got to think, is there somewhere I can go underground?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That has to be a thing. Can I go underground?
Yeah. And
Yeah, think about that because,
I was going to say holiday time is coming, guys, and I don't know. There's one company called Judy Law. No, they're not my sponsors, but I just use them as a different flyer because they have great survival stuff. And like I said, these are great holiday presents. They're like good discounts at this time, but just for people who are just trying to get into it, for their handheld radios, because guess what? It was so unfortunately they had this man who was married for 35 years. His wife was at the candle shop, and so when the actual event took place after everything was over, he was in that facility or that area at 10:35 at night. The actual airing of him taping was, I want to say, 9 a.m, and he's just been searching for her that whole time. Now, of course, through that time, he was able to help other people that were stranded and had, building and materials on them, but he was just looking for his wife. And during those time frames, guess what? Your cell phone is not working. Those towers are down, guys.
Right.
The electricity is out, guys. How are we able to communicate with each other? So just looking into those different devices and stuff, just to see what we can do and how we can help each other. I know a comment came in. I'm not sure what that one is. I know it's VOI.
VOI, FYI.
Yeah. Not too sure what that means, but if you're still there, go ahead and
can you listen, pretty please?
Yeah.
It was like okay. But hey, Google and that joint VOI.
It might be something.
I'm sure I need to learn something today, so that's what's up. So
right, let's do it.
Like jerk chicken pasta. I want to learn about VOI. So what's up?
Right. In Chicago, same weekend, they recorded their first ever tornado in the month of December. Also between Friday night into Saturday morning. That was one of the 30 something. So we had a tornado here in Orlando. That's not something that's synonymous with tornadoes. But last year, remember that, Kia? We had a tornado just kind of spiraled right through the city.
It literally went right across the highway. Like you can see the whole thing. The cars stopped. Everybody,
what's going on? So really and truly, we don't even know what to prepare for anymore. So just prepare for every damn thing.
Get that extra water like Liz does. Get that extra this and get
behaving tonight. Seen that? I'm on my best behavior, y'all. I can't breathe.
She has no wine, guys. She's not drinking any wine. No, and also and then we're just in December, right? And things are still going on, and things are still tragic. I don't know if you guys heard Pelosi. Just to change the topic, she's gonna still be with us, helping the Democrats move forward. I don't really want to end on that note. I just threw that.
And she said with us like something She get shot or
That
something?
might be a
But
natural
she said still with
catastrophe
us.
for itself. We got to do better, Democrats. You got to do better. You got to do better. But no,
It's changing. It's changing. It's changing.
so
AOC is going to be like Pelosi.
In 60 years.
So
oh god,
I would say six. Yeah, like
I didn't even
I would say
let you
16 years.
handle
Like
that role,
AOC
guys.
as we age out. So I would say another 10 years as we age out a little bit. Because like
I don't see it
their views are
happening.
still kind of right now, but eventually their views will be like the majority. So I would say
I
another
don't
10
see that
years.
happening.
AOC is going to be either Pelosi or Biden. She's going to get one of those two jobs.
Woo, we're going down. So, okay, guys. So I said basically that I didn't want to be too dreary because we had such a high note, and I think that the mood is going all the way down. I'm sorry for talking about this. Okay, but last words with Liz.
All right. So you guys, I don't even know where to go after you just dropped Pelosi, and
I'm
then okay, Liz.
sorry. I just want
So,
to
No,
say
right.
oh, sorry.
So
so all right, so you guys see it. Let me back up a little bit. Can you see it? Can you see it? So Black Future Month. We gotta
Woo.
ask again if you would pretty please visit my page. It's grownhonestconcepts.com. I do promise you in the upcoming weeks I'm going to be I have some new material I'm working on, new merchandise I'm putting out there. I'm very, very excited about 2022 and what it's going to do for Grown Honest Concepts and Unfiltered and Intentional. So we're about to blow up, y'all.
Yes,
So,
yes.
but in case it's your first time tuning in or anything like that, Black Future Month is one of my t-shirts that I designed. Last year, I drew absolutely no profit whatsoever from it, none at all, right? And so I give $5 from each T-shirt that is bought towards a college student to help them with buying their books because it's a lot of the reason that sometimes students can't finish, especially in their senior year, they run out of money. So it's something small that we can do to help out. It's got a positive message on there. I don't know if you can actually see it. I put all the different elements of Black culture, Black heritage, what's contributing. We always talk about Black history, and that's important, but we really got to start focusing on the future. So, I don't know if you can make it out really clearly in the picture, but you got, I do believe that faith has a place in the culture. You got the Afro pick and lipstick. Music is a big part of who we are. Then you got the school building. Okay, I'm trying to see it from the screen. So, medicine affects us so greatly. Film and cinematography, justice. We don't even have to go down that rabbit hole. We're trying to stay positive. And then, and then the light bulb for the ideas, the entrepreneurship. So it's every single aspect of the future and how we can affect it. Please help me support this cause. Help us provide for another college student. We did it last year. Unfiltered, my family here. You guys did a match on what we were able to raise last year. Unforgettable. We have kind of touched base and stayed in touch with that particular student throughout the entire year. And hopefully she gets to pass the torch and on to the next one.
Anyway, we give back.
Yes, guys, if you know somebody that is currently in college, if they're graduating high school going into college, if they're in their second, third, fourth year, I don't necessarily mind. It's not based on grades or anything, but please nominate somebody. I need help. So nominate somebody for me to give this money to, and let's get after it. So appreciate it.
Yes. And you can see that at grownhonestconcepts.com. And I
you.
know we had somebody comment about loving those shirts, Liz. Yes, we do. Every time it's at the end of the show, we want to know what type of shirt you got on because it has something to do with what we're talking about. So yes, we do love those comments. I know the last comment that also came in was from Cash. He said, "Nah, the moderates run the Democrat Party." I'm sorry I even mentioned that. I didn't mean to. Here we got another comment.
So that's Miss Toya. She's talking about that is Zaya's mom, guys. So she said she will pass the torch and we will help out. So
yes. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate you guys. Next week we will have a fun show for you guys. Kind of getting a little bit more intimate with some of your hosts. But that will be a very, very fun topic. Once again, make sure pay it forward. Just do something kind. Don't look for nothing in return. I mean, it will make your whole freaking day awesome when you do.
It
Selfless service. It's called Seva, guys. Selfless service. Seva is a Hindu word, but definitely go ahead and do it when your heart is free and just non-attached with it, and just like, hey, I'm doing it. You know, it just puts a smile on your face, especially since this world is so crappy to begin with. So love your neighbor, take care of each other. I love you guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you, Chef Andre Skywalker, for bringing us that thing. Make sure you give Specs that recipe.
Right. Jerk chicken pasta. Come on, son. Come on, son.
Yeah. And we love you guys. And have a great night, okay?
Good night.
Bye.